Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Micaela. Thank you for finding your way to my channel. If this is your first time here with me, if you've been here before, welcome back. In this series of videos, we're going to be talking about the most common postures or asana that you're going to see in general public yoga classes. These videos are intended to kind of help you feel what alignment feels like in your body. Something to note before we move into these videos is that alignment is very non-dogmatic. Everyone's body is very different, not just on the outside, but also on the inside. So your bones, your joints, and everything can be very different from one person to another. So what feels good to me might not feel good to you. So as we move through these together, I will be encouraging you to notice how things feel in your body and make adjustments based on that. Something else about alignment is that it can change over time, right? As your body changes, as things happen, how you feel one day might differ to the next. So always be open and try to approach everything without judgment, right? It's okay to need to change or to add in a different variation or whatever it is to find more support, because ultimately we're looking for Sthira Sukha Asana, which is ease within the challenge, right, in these postures. So not only are we looking to find something that feels good in your body, but it should be easeful. You shouldn't have to work too hard to stay there. So with that in mind, in this first video, we're going to talk about Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. So I'll invite you to find your way to your mat when you're ready. So as you find your comfortable stance at the top of your mat, you might just start by kind of shifting your weight around a few times and noticing where your feet land. Don't make any changes if that feels comfortable for your stance. You might even look down and notice your toes might not be facing forward. They might not even be hips width distance apart. Allow yourself to stay there. Bringing the hands to the hips, we'll go ahead and just step the left foot back. So once you step back here, we're going to go ahead and bend into that right knee. So you might go ahead and notice that those left toes are open to the left. That right knee and hip are going to continue to face forward. So you might now look down at the front foot. We want a stack of the knee over the foot, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be over the ankle. It can be a little bit behind, but we want to make sure that that knee is pulling out towards the side rather than torquing inward. From here, take a moment to notice where that right glute is. If you feel like it's pulling forward, go ahead and take a moment to kind of pull it back. You might notice what that does to the left side. Now you might look down again, and if your feet are on the same line, almost like you're standing on a balance beam, go ahead and take the left foot out a little bit to the left so they're no longer on the same line. Notice how that feels in your lower back, if it feels better, worse, same as when the feet might have been on the same line. And then check in with that left ankle and notice how it feels. Maybe the toes pivot open a little bit more. Maybe they pivot open a little bit less. Maybe you decide to shorten the stance. After you've made those changes, notice how you feel. And if you're feeling some tightness in that left hip, or if you feel like you're pulling it forward towards the top of the mat, one big misconception about Warrior 1 is that the hips are neutral towards the top of the mat. They are not. So I'll go ahead and have you keep your stance where you are for now, and then step the left foot forward to meet the right without changing the direction of your toes. Just slide it forward. Now look down at your feet. The left toes are open to the left, meaning that left hip is an external rotation. The right toes are facing forward still, so that hip is neutral. So there goes the misconception that the hips are neutral in Warrior 1, right? We have a little bit of external rotation happening in the left hip. So pulling the left hip forward to try to make the hips neutral in Warrior 1 is going to torque that left leg. The legs are kinetic lines of energy, so when there's something happening in one joint, it's most likely affecting the other two. So it's hips, knees, and ankles. So keep that in mind as we're moving. If you came out of your Warrior 1, go ahead and find your way back. Again, take a moment to check in, and then let that left hip continue to open up towards the left as you pull the right hip back, and then pull from your sternum towards the top of the mat. Now notice how that feels. You might start to engage the core to support the lower back. Try to press firmly into the right foot and into the pinky edge of the left foot evenly, as maybe you're like activating those inner thighs together. Maybe you feel the glute start to activate on the left leg. If you'd like, you can then take the arms high. Try to keep the shoulders down away from the ears by wrapping the pinkies towards the front of the room. Notice how that widens and broadens the shoulders and upper back. Taking a few moments to notice how you feel. And then stepping to the top of the mat. Now we'll take all that on the other side just to find it nice and even. So hands can come back to your hips and you can step the right leg back. You might start by heel toeing the feet a little bit wider so they're not on the same track. And then give the right toe space to open up towards the right as you bend into that left knee. Again, we want that left knee in line with the foot just so that the knee is not coming inward. You can always be a little bit behind the ankle, that's okay. Press into that right leg. And again, don't yank the right hip forward. Pull from your sternum, right? Because we're going to let that right hip stay in our external rotation. Again, you might activate the core. Take a moment, make any adjustments you need. Again, this is always a conversation with your body, right? How do I feel? What can I do to find a little bit more ease, to feel more comfortable? And then if you'd like, you can take the arms high, maybe wrapping the pinkies forward. And take a couple breaths to notice how you feel. And then if you'd like, you can do that same test as we did on the other side, maybe stepping the right foot forward to meet the left without turning the toes forward. You might even look down and notice maybe your two sides are even different. So, a lot of information for Warrior One. Big takeaways. The feet do not need to be on the same line. They can be wider so your hips have space. Nobody's hips are one in front of the other. They are wide, yeah? From there, you can pull from the sternum, right, rather than the back hip. And you might activate through the core for a little bit of support for your low back. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns after you move through this Warrior One video. Otherwise, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again in the next video of this series.